Hey, what's going on, everybody? So I just want to provide a little bit of an update and maybe some insight into what's going on with Miami's head football coach position. As I record this right now, Miami has not named a director of athletics. And based on some of the conversations I've seen on our message board on InsideTheU and even some of the comments on the YouTube channel, I think people are growing a little impatient about what's going on at Miami. Are they going to make a move? I've seen some reports out there that they're going to definitely stick with Manny Diaz as head coach and that he'll run it back in next season in 2022. However, I just want to provide a little bit of context based on some conversations I've had and maybe some stories I kind of remember, in particular about Mario Cristobal. In this video, I want to talk about that and kind of with where things stand right now. If you're a little impatient about why things are essentially status quo at this moment. I think the biggest thing to take away right now is there's a timetable in place that Miami's taken a look at, and I think it all centers around the Friday Pac-12 championship. That's a very pivotal game because that's where Mario Cristobal is coaching his Oregon Ducks, and I think as you've seen other coaching changes around the country be made, some people are wondering, well, why isn't Coach Cristobal, if that's their guy, why hasn't it been made now? Why hasn't it been announced? Why have they not told Coach Manny Diaz one way or the other that he's going to be the head coach of the Hurricanes or not? However, if you know Coach Cristobal, and I remember covering him and getting to know him when he was at UM as a coach and then also at FIU, and just kind of how he is now and talking to people close to him. And the best way I can describe him is he's just a very no-nonsense, he's a stand-up guy. There are certain things and certain qualities that he certainly holds dear and really respects. And I think the way he is with his program and the way he's been towards Miami, I'll get into an example with that, but he's not going to make himself a distraction nationally. If he's going to pick Miami one way or the other, again, as of the recording, it's not been announced one way or the other. But I think it's okay from a Miami standpoint that there hasn't been this big announcement. I don't think it rules Miami out for contention for Coach Cristobal. There are a lot of things that would make sense as to why this process has essentially been at a standstill. Again, Coach Cristobal, what I know from him, kind of from covering him, talking to people, it's very important to him to complete the season. He wants to win another Pac-12 championship. He already has two, and I do want to make a note for people that are wondering why there's a lot of attention on him, why it makes sense for Miami. And just aside from the fact that he played at UM and he understands the UM landscape, look, he's one of only 10 coaches that have multiple Power 5 conference championships under their belt. And I think sometimes people maybe criticize a guy like him or other coaches, even like a Lincoln Riley or, just these other coaches. Lane Kiffin, his name pops up. Anybody that has some losses under their belt, a lot of fans want to criticize for maybe not doing everything perfect. There's only one Nick Saban. I think people need to understand that. Coach Cristobal has had a lot of success. He's been a proven elite recruiter. There's a lot of things why it would make sense for Miami, aside from the fact that he went to school here and coached here, and he won a couple championships at Miami 30 years ago. But there's a lot of other things. Again, he has a proven record as a successful coach at the Power 5 conference level. He gets credit for turning around FIU. I think some people are wondering why that went south. There's a lot to get into. I don't want to make this video about that. I just want to kind of, again, explain maybe why things are at a little bit of a standstill. So from a Miami standpoint, they don't want to run off Coach Diaz if they don't have to. They don't want to make this big national spiel to everyone that they want to go after Coach Cristobal. They don't want to create a distraction. And frankly, I think all of this points to this is the way Coach Cristobal would prefer it. He's not going to disrespect Miami. He's not going to disrespect the University of Oregon either. He's going to handle it the best way he can. Does not want to be a distraction. I think the big thing is, if anything happens in terms of an extension for Cristobal at Oregon the next few days leading up to the game, or if Miami makes an announcement about Coach Diaz's future, that they are definitely going to retain him. If this happens before this weekend, those are obviously deal breakers there. However, if things stay the way they are, Coach Cristobal does not sign an extension, and we don't know if Oregon has offered him one or not, and if Coach Diaz is still essentially the head coach and they've not made an announcement that they're going to retain him for sure, if that still stays the same throughout the week, I think things are pointing towards a possible Miami move for Coach Cristobal. One of the things that stood out to me in talking with him, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned this on this video, there was a lot of respect that Coach Cristobal had for Miami even after he left UM. I remember him being at Alabama and having this conversation about, he would always ask me how things were going at Miami. He was very curious about how things were going. I think he sincerely cared, and it wasn't, sometimes Miami didn't have the success, but it wasn't like he was, he certainly wasn't reveling in that or gloating that they weren't doing very well. He was always very concerned and always cared, just like you guys. He was a fan of Miami. He cared about the program as an alum. And one of the things that stood out to me, and this kind of sticks out to me with his loyalty and respect for the program, was, he wasn't always adamant about going head to head against Miami in recruiting. There was a time he told me that if Miami's not going after certain local guys, or if they don't have a shot at landing these local guys, then he felt comfortable of coming in and really going after these guys as recruits. I've got some other recruiting stories I can save and talk about those later on, about maybe what makes him an elite recruiter at a different time, at the right time. I just wanted to kind of point that out because he always had this respect for Miami, and I think in this process, I think he still wants to handle it that way, and that's the reason why he doesn't want to disrespect Miami in this process. Also, another thing to keep in mind is if, he's been told, if there's conversations that's been had, the fact that I think because of the respect factor, I think if it was a definite no, I think the Miami administration, I think that they would definitely not be pursuing him. I think that they would start to move in different ways. And it sounds like they're not giving up on that situation. And I think that is telling us well, because again, I believe, just on opinion of him and how he respects the program, I think he would go ahead and let them know, like, look, I've got a great situation here. And he does, and I think everyone understands that. And he definitely could stay at Oregon. I'm not saying this is a declaration that he's definitely leaving or definitely staying either way. I'm just kind of presenting some things that's going on at UM right now, of why things are kind of a little bit, you're not hearing a lot of noise. And I think that's a positive for Miami because, again, Coach Cristobal is not interested in making this a big deal. He doesn't want to be a distraction to Oregon. He wants to win there, wants to close out the season, close it out with a championship. That would certainly mean a lot to him, his program, his players, and he doesn't want to be disrespectful to them. So the longer this goes on, the more positive it is for Miami, I do believe. I think if you're talking about a timetable of a potential move, I think it would be soon after Friday's game, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, over the weekend. I don't think that this is going to be a situation that gets drawn out in the media. I don't think it's going to be a big situation if he does come to Miami. I think it's going to be very quick. It's going to be very to the point. It's something I mentioned in the VIP notes I mentioned on the website a while ago. And there was plenty more information there. I'm not giving everybody a lot of new information in this video. Just there's a couple things that I said in that article that I just want to clarify, but I just feel like, he's going to, if Miami's their best chance at landing him, it's got to be a very succinct plan, because Coach Cristobal, like I said, stand up, no nonsense guy. He's very organized. I was just told that, just kind of a very buttoned up kind of approach to how to run a program. And all those things are going to come into play with his next job, or if he stays there, he's just going to handle things a certain way. And this is how he prefers it. And that's the reason why, if Miami has a shot at getting him, this is the best way to do it. And I know that's a little difficult for fans to kind of handle. I understand your impatience, and I think many of you are wondering, or maybe you don't think it's going to actually happen, and there's certainly reasons why it would not. However, having Coach Diaz in place still allows them to kind of make this decision. And also, there's not a lot, if you look, there's not a lot of attention on this subject because Miami still has its head coach. So again, if things were to move and things were to happen, it would happen very fast, and it would seem, I think, to certain people, almost a surprise. And one of the things I see keep coming up of why would he leave Oregon? And honestly, that's a fair question. I've reached out to people close to him, or people that have talked to, people close to him, and people are wondering, yes, why would he leave Oregon? He has a great situation there. The big things about Miami, and I know Coach Cristobal has a certain level of He had a certain level of pride for representing UM as a player, representing the city. I know those things were very important to him. And, so there is that tie to it. But just from a football standpoint, whether it's Coach Cristobal or any other head coach, it's very easy for head coaches to look at the Miami situation as a place that they feel like that they can win. The ACC Coastal is not loaded with programs with a lot of prestige, a lot of history behind them. It's a division where the right head coach can come in, recruit well, and win. And I think you've seen that. You saw it with Coach Richt, a guy that was a proven head coach. He was able to do it in his second year, win the division. Essentially, all the other coaches, these last other 4 since Coach Coker, have really struggled in that sense. But a guy with experience, a guy that has done well, whether it's Coach Cristobal or somebody else, you can win at Miami. And the big thing, another big reason is why, is because the talent base in South Florida has not dried up. It's still a strong base. There's still a lot of recruits in the area. And I know coaches look at that. It's a lot easier to win when you have a good recruiting base near your school. Certainly it's competitive. Everybody understands that you've got to out-recruit some other big programs. It's not like Miami is only going to recruit against Florida and Florida State for prospects. Everybody knows that. However, having people in your backyard is always a benefit. You'd always want that situation to recruit them. You should feel like as a program, as a coach, as a coaching staff, you have the benefit of being able to find out more information. You can get these guys on campus more than other schools. It's very difficult for coaches that always have to get on a plane to recruit and really make their inroads with recruits based on those heavy travel loads. And I think coaches understand that. They understand what it is. Again, Miami's not a perfect school, but there's a lot of positives, and I think Miami can still be a successful program moving forward. I think it's a program coaches, whether it's Coach Cristobal, somebody else, another proven coach, can win at Miami. They can win a conference championship. It's not happened in a really long time. So we will see what happens. As far as Coach Diaz goes, it'll just be interesting to see how things go. If Coach Diaz is retained by chance, he's got a lot of work to do, not just with player retainment and improving the product on the field, making a lot of changes within the program. But the big thing is going to be what's he going to do at offensive coordinator. Now that Rhett Lashley has moved on to be the head coach at SMU, that's a big task at hand. Certainly Miami has a quarterback that they like, a couple quarterbacks in Jake Garcia as well. So there is those benefits as well as some young receivers. There are some pieces to build around. And for people that are worried about making a change, I'm going to wrap this video up on this. For people that are worried about making a change just to make a change, or worried that making a change off of Coach Diaz is not the right move because players leave, as a program, you cannot be worried about that. You cannot be short-sighted in the short-term results. Player changes, player movement happens all the time. It's just part of the business. You cannot look at a one-year sample size or a one-year recruiting cycle and make your whole decision based on that. Yes, there are some good players at Miami, some good young players, but there's good young players you can get everywhere. You can still build from within, and for the long-term success of the program, that's the stuff that needs to be evaluated, not whether current players go or stay or whatever it might be, because turnover happens all the time. So just want to make that note as we wrap this up. Drop in the comments, please. Drop in the comments. Let me know what you think. How are you feeling about this situation? Are you worried that Miami's going to be more of a status quo? And I think the other thing with Coach Diaz, look, if Miami wants to be a 7-win team, which is what Coach Diaz has been at Miami, with 21 wins and 15 losses, if you want to be a 7-5 team, maybe you win 8 games, then Coach Diaz, I believe, is your right coach for that. However, if you want to move forward and try to win conference championships and kind of win at a higher level, I think what it takes at Miami is a more proven coach. I think there's a lot of good options, and I understand why the fan base is a little concerned with where this direction of this program will go, but I know that there's a plan in place. We'll see if they can execute it. Again, it's fine that things have been that there's been a little bit of a standstill, but trust me, patience is okay to have in this moment. We'll see what happens. It's going to be all about results and to see what happens next. So definitely thanks for everybody for watching. Take care. Have a good day.